a rant, any rant here today on Jimmy Rants. Click on that little box down there in the corner. It'll take you straight to IGTV for today's special episode. JimmyRants.com is the website, and as always, you can engage live in the content. Yes, we're here. We're here every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So definitely come join us. We love having you come in. You've got to go follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Living Low Carb Man, LivinLowCarbMan. Once you're there, you can join Brittany and Teresa and T.A. Bennett, Donna. I mean, there's so many people coming in so fast. It's hard to keep up with them. Thank you guys for all being here today on Jimmy Rants. We also simulcast live over here on my Facebook page where my buddy Scott lives close to me. So what's up, Scott? Thanks for always watching Jimmy Rants on the Facebook stream. And we also go live over on YouTube. And so thank you all for being here today on Jimmy Rants. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay over on IGTV right here on Instagram. So thanks if you're watching on replay. We also put the replay up over on YouTube. If you type in a keyword Jimmy Rants, you'll find the show. And then finally, you guys, go check out the official website for this show. We're almost at 600 episodes of Jimmy Rants, and you can see every single one of them over there at JimmyRants.com. And while you're there, you can also support my work. If you like what I do here and you enjoy the variety of topics, I get a lot of people thank me that I do so many different kinds of topics. How boring would it be if I just talked about low-carb keto all the time? Like, cut your carbs, eat real food. Any questions? Like, it would be so boring. So I love kind of mixing it up, and sometimes you don't always agree, and that's cool. I don't need you to agree with me. I just want to have conversations, and that's what I love doing. And so if you like that, go support me at JimmyRants.com. You can click on the Patreon link or on the PayPal link, and a donation of any amount would be greatly appreciated. T.A. Bennett says, "Hi, Jimmy, you're an inspiration. Thanks for all you do." Well, thank you for that. That's a very kind comment. So, guys, today I want to do something a little bit different. And I see my cousin Robert came in on both my Facebook and my Instagram. Robert, are you trying to take me over? Are you going to pop in on YouTube as well? That was freaky because I saw your name pop up on both of them at the same time. That's hilarious. Is one of your cousin not enough at a time? You have to watch him twice, two different devices. So guys, today I'm going to do something a little different. I have almost 600 episodes of Jimmy Rants in the can, and I've literally never done what I'm going to do here today. And I thought it would be fun, especially for a Monday. We've had a long weekend, and today's a holiday, so let's have a little fun with this. I want to see what you want me to rant about. That's right. Give me a topic. Make sure it's a compelling topic, something of interest and interesting. And on the fly, I will do a little mini rant of whatever you want me to talk about. So it's pick a rant, any rant. I really would love to hear what you would like for me to talk about and do a rant about. People sometimes say, well, you never talk about, X, and pick the subject. And so when people have those questions, you never talk about, I'm like, okay, today is your day. If there's something that I haven't talked about that you want to hear me and my thoughts about, I'm not going to do like an hour long on each one like I normally do, but I will give probably a good few minutes to each one, and this should be fun. So I need your help. Start writing down there, the topics. Now, don't give me questions. That's Ask Me Anything on Fridays, and so definitely come back for that on Friday. I want to see just a word, 2, 3 words, and you give me some major topic of anything. It doesn't have to be diet related. Obviously, you can do diet related, but do any kind of topic that you want. Pick the rant topic, and when you put it in there, I will do a rant about it. So does that sound like fun? This is a perfect kind of Monday holiday kind of Jimmy Rants here today. So get them ready. I'm going to go ahead and start over on Instagram because it looks like I do have a few topics that have popped in over there. Facebook, wake up. I need some over here as well. I haven't seen anybody put in a topic. If you're just joining us, I'm doing something a little bit different here today. I want to do rants on what you want me to rant about. So give me a topic. Make sure it's compelling. Don't do something boring. Net carbs versus total carbs. Yeah, I don't care. Do it something that's pretty interesting, because I think there are so many interesting things to talk about, and you're probably going to hit on some things that are interesting to me. And if I happen to see a topic that I don't have a viewpoint on, I'll tell you, or I'll just skip by it. So don't take offense to that if I don't know something about a subject. But if I know something or have something to say about your subject, I will come to you momentarily. So you guys all game? We're going to go to Instagram first, then Facebook, then over to YouTube, JimmyRants.com. Let's see what you got on store for me here today. And the first one is from my friend Brittany. Brittany, you never cease to let me down when I need a comment or a question, or in this case, a topic. She started with the word gluconeogenesis. So those of you that don't know what that big old long word is, I wrote about it in Keto Clarity. What's funny is I first heard the word gluconeogenesis at an obesity conference in like 2006. And all these nerdy researchers were like, blah, 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 gluconeogenesis, and blah, 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 produce glucose, blah, blah, blah. I used to have a t-shirt that was made up that had all the metabolic process of how gluconeogenesis works. But in a nutshell, it's your body's ability to make glucose without consuming carbohydrate. So everybody thinks you need to have carbohydrate in order to have glucose in your body. Now, if you've been in the keto, carnivore kind of space for a little while, you know that's ridiculous. The body can make its own glucose through this process called gluconeogenesis. So let me get to the non-controversial part first, Brittany, because I know what you want me to rant about, and I've got a bit of a rant about gluconeogenesis in the controversial way. But in the non-controversial way, when you eat protein, and even to a lesser extent fat, that gets converted by the liver into glucose when it's excess of what the body needs. So the body needs certain amounts of amino acids, proteins. The body needs a certain amount of fatty acids as well, so the dietary fats that you eat. When you consume them in excess of what the body needs, there is no efficient way to store, especially protein. There is no way. Your body doesn't store protein. It can only store fat, or it can store glucose. So what does it do with extra protein that goes beyond the body's need for it? It sends it to the liver. And the liver's like, okay, we know what to do with that. And it does this little conversion process called gluconeogenesis that converts it over into glucose. So then once it becomes glucose, this is when the body can use it as energy, or if it's not used up, it then gets converted into stored body fat. After it fills glycogen stores and all the other things and does all the purposes in the body for glucose, there are some essential functions in the body that require glucose. That's how it gets it when you don't eat carbs. So all you carnivore people wondering how you get glucose for your brain and the different parts of your body, that's how. The excess protein and to a lesser extent excess fat. The controversy comes into play when people say, well, you don't want to eat too much protein on a regular basis because you will spike your glucose. And what they're referring to is gluconeogenesis. Okay, so is it possible that you could do that? Absolutely. It is possible. And not to the degree of carbohydrate. People think, oh, I spiked my glucose like I had carbohydrate, and it's not the same. Okay, so people often mistake, well, I'll spike my glucose and I don't want that to happen. Well, you don't really spike your glucose. What you do is you increase glucose because of that production of a conversion over from protein into glucose. Sometimes what it does is it makes the body increase insulin. That's what happens in me. So when I have a heavy amount of protein with very little fat in it, I almost invariably see a major drop in my glucose. Is that a good thing? No, because I went into hypoglycemia. So some people see an elevation in their blood sugar. Others see an elevation in their blood insulin, which lowers the blood sugar. And then other people do just fine with it. So that's where kind of the controversy over the G word, gluconeogenesis, comes in. But I think your body's pretty darn smart. If you listen to the satiety signals that it's giving you when you're consuming a protein-based meal, number one, don't just eat protein by itself. Chicken breast is horrible. Don't do that. But get the natural fats that come along with that protein, and you will probably stave off the effects of gluconeogenesis. But thank you for that. Brittany, you always come through with a great topic, so I appreciate that. All right. What do you think about the Beyond beef burgers or Beyond Meat burgers making their way to fast food chains? I think they're going to fail miserably, and I think we've already seen that. They rolled out very heavy last year, you guys, all these fake meats, vegan meats that came out. Oh, it tastes just like a burger. I remember the Beyond or the Impossible Whopper commercials, and yeah, they had all of these kind of hype last summer. I don't see people running to go get these things. And in fact, I was reading in Canada, Starbucks there had to shut down where they had some of those products in their restaurants. It just wasn't selling. And same, I think it was a McDonald's also in Canada. It's being propped up majorly by the millionaires and billionaire investors that are behind the company. There's no demand for a vegan burger that has 28 different ingredients in it. It's a chemical crap storm. People want real meat. Now you're going to have the fringe people. Oh, we got to support that. Okay, good. You go ahead. I'm going to keep eating my beef. Thank you. So yeah, I think in the end, it's going to fail miserably as a business idea. Marnie wants to know, what do you think about dogma in nutrition? Oh, Marnie. I am going to talk to a longtime friend of mine way back in the paleo days named Denise Minger. You guys might remember her from her critique of the China study. It was the big vegan Bible by T. Colin Campbell that came out right about a decade ago. And shortly after it came out, Denise, nobody had ever heard of her before, but she was an English major in college and so super witty, incredibly smart with the science. And she basically broke down little by little that whole book. And she got very heralded for it. And so she got involved in the paleo community. I'm interviewing her tomorrow, is why I'm talking about her, and for an upcoming episode of my podcast. And one of the things that drove her away from the paleo and even the nutritional health world in general was the dogma. And I can tell you, as somebody who's observed this space since 2005, when I first got in it, the dogma is always so real and strong. I never felt more shunned by a community than I did when I was in the paleo community. I was kind of the token low carb guy. Yeah. If you want to know about low carb, go talk to Jimmy Moore. But then that was it. It was just pretty much, this is our club. And paleo is the way. You need to be eating safe starches and resistant starches. And you need to be making sure your poop has the right microbiome in it. And And it's just so ugly. And of course, keto's gotten the same way. Oh, you're not keto in the right way. You need to keto with net carbs, not total carbs. Oh, no, it's total carbs, not net carbs. And it just becomes this proverbial pissing match. And now we're seeing it in the carnivore community when the two big boys fight over honey. I'm like, come on. So yes, I'm over dogma in nutrition. If something works for somebody, guess what? I'm supporting you in whatever that is, even if it's a vegan diet. And I think we need more people that are willing to fight dogma. And I cannot wait to talk to Denise tomorrow all about the dogma and how it's actually destructive. Because here's the thing. Even as big as paleo got a decade ago, even as big as keto got 4 or 5 years ago, and now that carnivore is, even as big as these trends are, we're talking about a very minuscule number of people that are doing these nutritional plans. Very few. The vast majority of people are still out there going to grocery stores, going to big box stores, and loading up their cart with crap. And if we insist on being dogmatic about positions and rather than seeing the big picture, it will lead to the demise of the community, which we've already seen with paleo. It's already happening with keto, and carnivore's not far behind. Let's not kid ourselves. People don't give a crap about your dogma. They just want to know how to lose weight and get healthy. And if we can't try to help people customize what would work for them, then they're going to keep looking until they find people that will help them find what works for them. So, no, not a fan of dogma when it comes to nutrition. And here's the thing, nutritional science isn't settled. There's nothing about nutritional science. Now, we have clues that we talk about. I talk about in studies quite often. Saturated fat is not as unhealthy as it's been made out to be. Carbohydrates are more of an instigator in negative consequences to your metabolic health. Vegetable oils aren't this great heart healthy, I talk about those things all the time. But if new data comes along that debunks some of the things that I talk about, I'm going to talk about it. And I think this dogmatic position that you dig in your heels and you have to stay with one plan, this is what people get frustrated by. This is why a lot in the vegan community have lost a lot of their moxie and their credibility, is when new evidence comes out, they do not shift away. And it's not just the vegans, it happens even in the carnivore, keto, paleo, real food movement. You've got people that are just so dug in. Now, yes, my branding is Livin' La Vida low carb, but it's not because I think everybody should eat low carb. It's because I think low carb has some good science that supports it, and I try to articulate that. And I talk about the good, the bad, the ugly with it as well. The dogma comes into play when all you say is everything's good. We see it in the political realm, by the way, and not to make this political, but we see it, if you're a Democrat, all these positions are virtuous and the opposite are wrong, and vice versa. If you're a Republican, all these positions are virtuous and the opposite's wrong. And it's like, no. Sometimes there's nuance in the middle of those positions. And it's the same in nutrition. There's nuance. And there's very customizable bio-individual things that apply to one person, but not to another person. So, not a fan of dogma in nutrition. But thank you for that question, or topic. Again, if you joined us late, we are doing a pick a rant, any rant. You give me a topic to rant about. I thought this would be a fun thing to do on the holiday today. You give me a rant topic, and I will do a little mini rant. So here we are. Keep them coming. T.A. Bennett has the next one. What about starting our own food farm? I think it's a great idea. 6 years ago, I got backyard chickens for the very first time. Still have 15 of them. I'm a little mad at them today because one of them must have pecked open one of the eggs, and they do that, by the way. They know what good nutrition is, so one of them pecked open the egg, and when they got a taste of their own yolk, they pecked all the eggs open. So I think I had 6 eggs today, and all you saw was just the remnants of it left. And I'm like, "Arr." So I got to go harvest the eggs. But no, get your own food from your local, from your property, I think is beautiful. And especially in light of kind of food insecurity right now, of people not knowing where they're going to get food if things go south. This is a great way to do it. I also have a greenhouse back there in a front yard available to do a garden. I didn't do one this year because of some things happening in my personal life that has just made it really hard. But yeah, I think it's wonderful if you can grow your own food, if you can have chickens, if you can have pigs and other kind of animals, all for the purpose of becoming food on your dinner plate. I think that's wonderful. In fact, I just had 7 eggs from my backyard chickens just before I came on Jimmy Rants here today. So big fan of starting your own food farm. Next one, correlation between childhood trauma and mental illness and or food-related disorders. Brittany, you are hitting all my hot topics today. Good job. So, yes, we know, and go look up this study, you guys. There is a study out there called the ACE study. ACE stands for Adverse Childhood Events. So the ACE study actually had no intention of trying to put a correlation between trauma, and specifically childhood trauma, and health. It had no intention of doing that. But what happened was all these clinicians were seeing all these patients, and they were all reporting later in life all these health consequences they had. And I'm like, wait a minute. You were sexually abused at 7, and now you're 27 and you have PCOS and autoimmune. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Oh, wait, at 14, your dad was hitting you and yelling at you, and you had major trauma from that. And now at 35, you're dealing with cancer. Like they were like putting together all these pieces and going, huh, I wonder if there's a correlation. Now, Brittany asked about mental illness. I think the mental consequences of childhood trauma have to be almost obvious. It's the physical ones that I think are not so obvious. And to your point about food-related disorders, I think binge eating gets triggered by it, by the childhood trauma. I think anorexia and bulimia, how can it not? I mean, we think about, especially like physical abuse, we think about that just being physical. As someone who had his head smashed into walls and punched in the side of the head by my dad from 14 to 17 and a half, I can tell you all of that physical stuff hurt in the moment, but it was the mental stuff that hurt for many years to come. And how did I soothe that mental hurt, that psychological hurt? I ate, and I ate, and I ate, and I ate, and I ate. And to this day, I still have to deal not just with the mental issues associated with that, which I'm much better than I've ever been. I'm old enough to now be far enough away from it that it's not as traumatic as it was. I will tell you, when I left the house at 17 until about 32, I literally was looking over my shoulder every single day thinking my dad was coming to kill me. It was that bad. And of course, all through my 20s was when I gained all my weight. And so the food-related disorders are very real. And then once you get the food-related disorders, then you get the obesity and the chronic disease that comes along with that. And then you're in that loop. It's like, okay, the more you try to heal, you still have the damage, and the damage came because you ate the food that you were using to soothe the childhood trauma that never should have happened to begin with. Are you seeing why I'm so passionate about talking about childhood trauma now? Thank you for that, Brittany. Brittany, you know you're setting yourself up for a joke. She said, get off my chicken breast. You can have chicken breast. I don't mind people having chicken breast. I just think that people think they're having a healthier option when they're eating chicken breast. And I'm saying, no, get the whole chicken. One of my favorite things that I've done lately is gone down to Ingles, the grocery store close to me, and buying a rotisserie. And I love a whole rotisserie chicken. I sometimes don't eat it all, and I throw the rest of it to, who else? My chickens. They love chicken. Yeah, chickens love chicken, by the way. They are cannibals. They eat their own eggs. Why wouldn't they eat Cousin Eddie when I throw them out there for them to eat the carcass? Donna says, how do you know what's right? There's so much information, hard to determine. I'm insulin resistant, so I'm doing keto, but I get confused with the conflicting information. I just did a post about this, Donna, last week, so go scroll through my feed when you're done watching Jimmy Rants here today. So basically, the topic you're saying is, it's so confusing out there in the nutritional health world. Who do you believe? And it's a great question, because it could be two people having opposite views on a topic that you're interested in, but it's two people you also know, love, and respect. How do you parse that out? And my answer that I gave, and you can go read the full post, but in short, was test it on yourself. Test both on yourself. So let's take the example of Sean Baker and Paul Saladino, both medical doctors, both very prominent in the carnivore community. Let's take them, for example, and what they were arguing about 3 weeks ago. Honey. Paul contends he can have honey, and it's no big deal in his carnivore diet. Sean pointed out, well, it's still sugar, and so it's still going to have a metabolic impact, just like eating sugar. And so, who do you believe? I would say, if you want to test the theory of whether honey is good for you or not, go grab a glucometer, go grab you a jar of honey, and test it. That's how you know. So test it baseline. Let's say you get an 85, good baseline number. Then have however much honey you're going to eat. Test a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, whatever you're testing, and just see what happens to your blood sugar. Test it 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, and 120 minutes. If at 1 hour postprandial it went from 85 to 185, you're in trouble. That's a bad, bad decision. But if at 1 hour postprandial it went from 85 to 95, that's probably not a big deal. Because if you're very sensitive to the sugar effects of honey, then it'll show up on that blood glucose meter at 1 hour postprandial. 2 hours after having it, it should be back to baseline again. So let's go back to, it started at 85, it went to 185 postprandial. 2 hours postprandial, it's still at 155. You don't need to be eating honey. The second scenario, it went from 85 to 95 in 1 hour, and within 2 hours it was back to 87. It's back to baseline. Good job. You can have honey. So I think at the end of the day, we need to stop being so trusting in gurus. And I tell people, if I tell you something, don't think that it's the gospel truth. Please don't ever believe anything I say. Always verify it. Always see how it applies to you. This is one of the things that troubles me about the nutritional health space as well. We have so many people that pretend like they have all the answers, and they never want you to question them whatsoever. No. Any good teacher will say, okay, I'm going to teach you this stuff, but go learn some more on your own. Go figure out what's happening for you. So that's the answer. How do you know what's right? When you test it, Donna, and you see what works for you. But thank you for that. Debbie says, my doctor told me not to take vitamin K2. It will make my blood thick. My calcium is low, but he wants me to take calcium. I'm ranting because now I'm scared. Yeah, Debbie, I think doctors are a little bit misinformed when it comes to these kinds of things. I mean, I can appreciate that they're trying to help you. I will tell you, your calcium being low is not necessarily because you need to take more calcium. Your calcium might be low because the balance between vitamin D, which he did not mention, at least according to what you wrote here, he didn't mention anything about your vitamin D. Vitamin D sufficiency actually helps bring calcium levels back into a normal range. And then vitamin D K2 is this nice 1-2 punch to really optimizing your health and some of those markers that you're struggling with. So I'm not going to tell you what to do and not buck your doctor, but learn a little bit more about this symbiosis between vitamin D3 and vitamin K2. I think for most people, and most people are very deficient in vitamin D, they need to be supplementing and getting out in the sun to try to get those levels up. K2 is a nice booster for D3, so taking them together is definitely the way to go. I'm sorry that your doctor isn't as informed on this, but look, they're not trained in this. This is why you find a naturopath, you find a nutritional therapist of some kind, you find a functional medicine practitioner. They know about all of these interconnections between the vitamins, so I hope that helps you out. Allie says, the last few months I just fell back into emotional eating in excess. Haven't been this bad since childhood. Gonna start over with fasting tomorrow. Was surprised I still could react like that. Oh no. See, here's the thing, and thank you. And again, we're doing topics, so pick a rant, any rant. Give me a topic to rant about. I'm getting a lot of great topics, and you guys are coming through strong, and I'm just on Instagram, so keep them coming in, you guys. I will come to you guys here in a minute, but we're talking like in general about different things you want me to rant about, and this is a biggie. So thank you, Allie. You're not alone. There are a lot of people that have slipped back into emotional eating, and think about why you've done that. And it's not just you, it's a lot of people. Think about it. When you are scared, when you are fearful, when you are anxious, when you are depressed, what do all those things have in common? What they have in common is how you felt before you went keto. What they have in common is this real guttural reaction within you that tells you, oh, we've been here before. We know what to do, Allie. We know that we need to go and get Oreo cookies from the grocery store. We know that we could stop by McDonald's and have some of that. We know we could just eat our pain away. Yes, you've made the changes. Yes, you know up here what to do. Yes, you have all the same feelings that you had before. Yes, you're stronger, but you're being reminded. You've been weakened. Think about it as a soldier in battle. And they're strong when they get out there on the battlefield. And then one blast, and it knocks them flat on their back. And that's where you are right now, you and many others. And when you're in that position, the best thing you can do is get out of your own head. The best thing you can do is just say, okay, I know what's going on here. This is probably the most trying time in most of our lives right now. And I know that if I just hang on tight, not worry about my weight right now, not worry about anything else except hang on. Now that sounds so horrible to some people. Oh my God, no, you should be doubling down to try to lose weight and get your... No, screw that. Screw that. Because at the end of the day, you've got to keep your mental faculties about you. Get that under control. Release the fear, release the anxiety, release the depression. And the way you do that, I think, is by thinking about the good things in your life. Thinking about what positive things are happening for you. Realizing that you're only turning to food because you haven't gotten those things under control. And maybe it's been a while because you've been happy, keto's been going well for you, things have been happy in your life, and now you've got this big old life monkey wrench that's just been thrown at all of us. And COVID-19 and the race relations and the presidential election is just the cultural things. Never mind anything personal that you're going through in your life. I'm going through a really, really difficult personal thing on top of all those things this year. So I feel you, Allie. And while I have not succumbed to great emotional eating, I do feel the pain of those feelings coming back and the temptation that's there. And you just have to know you're it's not abnormal. It's very, very normal what you're going through. Hang on, because I think once we're on the other side of some of this stress, hopefully sooner than later, you'll be able to get right back on plan again. So don't give up, girl. Don't give up. But thank you for that. That's a great topic. Coaches Get Paid says, I got a CGM postprandial up to 142 within an hour, back to 111. Pretty cool. Oh, he had cookies postprandial. Oh, okay. 142 within an hour and then back to 111, 2 hours. But day before didn't change blood glucose. I can handle occasional sugar, but clearly need to make it, do not need to make it a regular occurrence. See, you learned. You learned. Debbie said her vitamin D is 41. So that's a little on the low end. Most of the vitamin D experts say probably 50 to 70. It's not real harmful to be higher than that, but 50 to 70 is kind of your range. So get your vitamin D level up, Debbie, and I guarantee you that will have a positive impact in conjunction with the K2 on your calcium levels. All right. Thank you, Instagram. Wonderful. I've literally never done this pick a rant, any rant before. After today, I'm definitely going to do it again sometime, but thank you for those. Let me see what my Facebook followers have given me. What's up, Facebook? Thanks for being here. And again, I'm going to remind you, we're doing a pick a rant, any rant. So give me a topic to rant about, and on the fly, I will give you a rant about whatever you're talking about. Norma wants me to do a rant on trafficking. I assume you mean the human trafficking and the sex trafficking of children. It's atrocious. And see, this is the thing. We all want to bemoan, and rightfully so, our history in this country of slavery, okay? But slavery ain't over. Modern day slavery is still here. It is. 10 million, mostly women and children, are sold into human trafficking right now. Did you know that? 2 million kids. And the most repulsive part of the 2 million kids, most of them, sex trafficking. So Why that doesn't get more news, I don't know. It's repulsive. It's disgusting. Thankfully, there have been a lot of crackdowns lately where they found some kids in various parts of the country. And this is happening all over and this is the United States of America this is happening. We are the #1 exporter of child sex victims. They come in, they grab the kids. Typically, they're looking for kids 14 and younger. And they take them and they do God knows what with them. And I read some statistics where they force the kid to have sex 10 times a day. It's gross. It's disgusting. And it's happening. And then they get traded all the time. So one kid could be sold thousands of times, all to give an adult pleasure of some sort. It's just, to me, I can't wrap my head around it. All I can do is just say we need to be pouring every resource we can in protecting our kids. And if you didn't know this before today, please educate yourself about human trafficking. Just Google human trafficking. You'll find the statistics. You'll see what's going on. And if you haven't been paying attention to the news about some of the kids that have been found lately, go look up those stories, because the mainstream is only talking about COVID-19 and the Black Lives Matter and the presidential election. They don't give a crap about the sex trafficking that's happening. So, yes, big Norma topic that I think needs more attention. But thank you for that. Christy says sleep, or Crystal, sorry, Crystal. Crystal says sleep. So sleep, I'm very much in favor of sleep. So sleep, yes, it is so critical. We talk about nutrition, we talk about movement, we talk about stress management, but not many people talk about sleep. And so you want to be able to get a modicum of sleep to rest. Now, I use this little ring. I don't get paid by them. I just love the tracker, called the Oura Ring. And so the Oura Ring actually lets me track my various stages of sleep. And so getting more REM, rapid eye movement, as well as deep sleep is the goal. And so the way you do that, you get a cool room, you get blackout curtains or blinds, you take maybe a supplement like magnesium an hour before bedtime. There's so many things you can do to get off your devices and turn your lights down low, wear blue blocker glasses, get adequate sunshine in the daytime so that the sun hits the eye, so you can set your circadian rhythm. All of these things will help you sleep. And why is this important? When you get adequate sleep, your body can function properly. When you don't, there's actually been research that shows just one bad night of sleep can actually make you metabolically insulin resistant. Now, you can fix it by getting adequate sleep the next night, but that day that you're sleepy because you didn't have a good night's sleep, you probably noticed some physiological effects. You probably noticed you were tired. Here's the big one though. You noticed your hunger went up. And so when hunger goes up, what do? You eat. And when you're hungry, when your hunger goes up because of a lack of sleep, guess what you crave? You crave carbohydrates. And a lot of people give in to those carbohydrates. Well, I'm craving them, therefore I must need them. No, that's your body basically screaming at you. I don't know what you did, but dang it, don't do it again. And I'm going to make you like carbs and want carbs. So get your sleep. Last night, according to the Oura Ring, I had 2.5 hours of deep sleep and 1.5 hours of REM, and a total sleep of about 6.5 hours. So I don't sleep long because I don't need to, but when I do sleep, I get good quality sleep, and that's what you're aiming for. I've been working on mine for years. Not always perfect, but it's pretty darn good most of the time. Pretty happy about that. All right, thank you, Facebook. We're going to pop over now to my YouTube channel, see what topics you guys want me to rant about. Let's see here. Shirley wants me to talk about the lockdown in Victoria, Australia. So I just did a post about that just this morning on social media. Those of you that don't know what's going on in Victoria, Australia. So Victoria, the capital city there is Melbourne. I actually have been to Australia 3 times. I did a speaking tour in 2012, 2014, and 2016. And I love that country. I think Australia is one of the more beautiful countries on earth. If I didn't live in America, I would be living in Australia. Although, with what's happening in Victoria right now, and the premier there, Daniel Andrews, and that's his name, he is just basically taking this COVID thing and he's making it his own personal agenda to do whatever the bleep he wants to do. And see, here's the funny thing. There's 25 million people in the nation of Australia. 25 million. Guess how many deaths they've had from COVID-19? 760. That's it. Out of 25 million. 0.000003% death rate. And yet they have them in Melbourne and in all across Victoria, the state of Victoria. They have them in lockdown right now. They're allowed to go outside for 1 hour a day. And when they're outside, they have to wear a mask. If they are seen without a mask, they will lock you up. They will arrest you and lock you up. If you write something on social media like Facebook, several people wrote about some of the restrictions and things. Just wrote about it. They show up on your door, knock, 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 got a search warrant. Yeah, you wrote this on Facebook, come with us, you're being arrested. They're arresting them just for talking on Facebook about this. Now, there was a big announcement on yesterday, that they're going to keep them in lockdown for 3 more weeks and then they'll reconsider. But I mean, it's been ungodly amount of time that they've pretty much been on lockdown. And I've walked the streets of Melbourne. Those poor people. And one pregnant lady, they came and got her 1 hour before she was supposed to go see her doctor about her pregnancy. There was another guy where they rammed in his door. I mean, it's bad. And if we think that can't happen in America, you have another thing coming, guys. They could easily do these same things. And yeah, COVID, I think a lot of people have reached their nth degree point when it comes to some of the COVID restrictions that have been put in place. But my friends in Victoria, Australia, I feel for you, because right now you're going through an unreasonable set of dictates from a little puny leader that does not deserve to be your leader much longer. I really hope you guys can vote him out, because this is repulsive. All right, let's see. Cindy wants to know, do you have information on the metabolic process in people 60 and above? Yeah, it's the same metabolic process as anybody else. It's just you can tend to see that it's going to be slower. And here's some things to remember. As you get older, higher cholesterol is normal. This is what makes me mad. When older people tend to go to see their doctor, they look at older people as if they're younger people. And they assume that all the ranges of things when you are younger apply when you're older. And they don't. You have higher levels of cholesterol because it's a good thing in the body to help control inflammation as you get older. Older people also tend to have higher blood sugar levels. Not ungodly high, but higher enough that, oh my gosh, we have to put you on a drug. And so many older people are put on medications that they just don't need. It's just a part of the aging process. So yeah, try to find a functional medicine practitioner that can work with you and let you know what those ranges are for the older crowd. But yeah, if you're over 60, what applies to you or applied to you when you were 30 may not apply to you now because you have a different set of circumstances in your body. Can you do a rant on Weight Watchers ever-changing system, says Craig. If it works, why do they need to change it every year? They are a business, Craig. And Weight Watchers, basically, the major thing Weight Watchers does is it gives you that camaraderie. It gives you that support of other people. And this is the thing. You can get that support of other people now through social media. There's plenty of pages that will support you. But the reason they keep changing up their system, Craig, you know why. Because it's a bogus system. The original diet for Weight Watchers was a low-fat, low-calorie diet. Oh, well, a little bit of hunger is going to make you feel better, and you're going to be losing weight, and we're all proud of you. And it's just this kind of rah-rah propaganda. And I think they see the handwriting on the wall that people have tried things like the low-carb ketogenic diet, and they get success. If they could build their business model around letting people choose what kind of plan they want to do rather than saying this is the Weight Watchers plan. If somebody wants to do a low-fat, low-calorie version, let them sign up for that. If they want to do a low-carb ketogenic version, let them sign up for that. If they want to eat a real food-based diet, regardless, there is no such word as regardless of the macronutrients in that, let them sign up for that. This is what I've never understood about that. They could easily make a lot of money if they had subsets of the Weight Watchers groups. And if you let people make that choice, guess what? If they choose the diet they're doing, they're more likely to stick with it. And then if they don't like any given diet, they can make a lateral move over to another category, and they never lose customers if they do it that way. But they didn't ask my business advice, but that's the best advice I could give them. But no, I'm not surprised they keep changing the business model because it's a failed business model the way they set it up. Aunt G says, learned about you as I'm following Ben Azadi. You make so much sense. Well, thank you. Yeah, Ben, I was recently on Ben's podcast, so go check that out, you guys. Keto Camp podcast is the name of his podcast. I did an interview with him. Really great guy. I love Ben. He's one of the good guys out there in the podcasting world. All right, thank you, YouTube. I'm going to come back over here now, see if there's any more topics from Instagram. Going to my girlfriend's birthday party today. They are all vegan. I'm bringing ribeyes, said Theo. Well, Theo, that's awesome. Don't be you know what about it. I mean, I would say before you go, eat your ribeyes before you go. And then if you don't eat while you're there, oh, I had some food before I came. Otherwise, you're just going to horrify those people, which maybe is your intention. But yeah, if you want to keep that girlfriend, you may not want to rub their nose in you're a meat eater and they're vegans. But I love your spirit. Good job. How do you spell that sleep ring you're talking about? Oura, O-U-R-A, O-U-R-A. I think their website, and again, they don't sponsor me. I've asked if they would, and they say we don't have a budget, which I know is bogus. They have money, they just don't want to spend it. But I love products, and I'm not ashamed to tell you about it, even if they don't always benefit me. But O-U-R-A is how you spell it, Oura. And it's ouraring.com, I believe is their website. But yeah, if they worked with me, I'm sure they could give me a code or something to tell you about. But unfortunately, they don't care. So it is the way of the world these days. So trying to get my older parents to listen, understand, and change is my biggest challenge and mission right now. They obediently do what their uninformed doctor tells them, and it's infuriating, says T.A. Bennett. Yeah, you're not alone. My parents are in their 70s, and when they reach that age, it's almost like F it. They just don't care anymore. And at that point, if the person doesn't care, then what do you do? And plus, you're their kid. And so there is kind of this notion to dismiss your child. Even though you're a full-grown adult, they dismiss you. Now, my mom does not dismiss me. She knows that I know some stuff now that I didn't know when I was younger. And she's oftentimes asking me advice. And what was funny, I talked to her the other day, and she was like, I didn't want to tell you, but I've kind of gotten off the keto a little. I'm like, you don't have to be afraid. I'm not going to judge you. everybody gets off of it from time to time. So what happened? She talked about it. It's okay. We'll just get back on plan. She's like, oh, you're not mad at me? I'm like, why would I be mad at you? Like, this is your journey. I want to see you succeed, and I want to help you. When you feel those feelings like you want to come off, call me, and I will talk you off the ledge. But she was just like so guilty. Oh my gosh, I'm telling my keto son. I'm like, I really don't care, Mom. This is your journey. I care about you, but I don't care about your inhibitions about wanting to tell me. Just tell me. I won't judge you. But it's tough when it's your own family and you know things that can help them and they refuse to want to be helped and they listen to a doctor. It's that age group. And I'm hoping my age group, when we become older, we're going to buck that trend and not be so trusting about doctors. I sure won't. I know too much about doctors now to trust them as inherently as my parents did. The Cavaliers of my hearts. What do you tell your doctor when they're supportive of keto but not carnivore? Tell them you're eating keto. Like, what they don't know won't hurt them. Like, are they going to sit there and watch every meal that you eat? No, they're not going to come into your house. When they ask you what you're doing, you say, I'm eating keto. And you are. Carnivore pretty much is a ketogenic diet. It's just without any plant matter. So just tell him you're doing keto. It's no big deal. I think sometimes we try to label what we do. And if he's okay with keto but not carnivore, then tell him you're doing keto. If he's not okay with keto, you just tell him you're eating real food. No doctor will be against a real food diet. Okay? So don't frame it in such a back yourself into a corner kind of position. Just work with him. Oh, are you still doing that keto? Yes, I am. Just happens to be all meat. Right? No big deal. I feel that we must justify everything. Yeah. Everybody thinks, well, I need to have this label. And guys, quite frankly, I'm getting tired. I'm going to do a little mini rant here at the end. I'm getting tired of having to label how I eat. Yes, I'm the low carb guy. Yes, I've written 1 million books about keto. I don't want to be keto. I don't want to be low carb. I don't want to be any identification of a diet. I want to be healthy. And if I'm eating in such a way that I'm healthy, who is going to argue with that? Who could say anything about that? And I think the more we stay attached, and again, I understand the psychology of it. People like to be a part of a group. They like to have a tribe. And if you can come together at a conference or come together online on a common topic, great. That's what brings you together. But I think once you're in that group, you don't have to, well, I do keto this way. How do you do keto? I do keto. No, just, I live. My life is not all about keto. I had somebody call me out on Instagram today because I posted something about what was going on in Australia. No, it wasn't Instagram. It was, on Instagram for sure. But on Twitter, somebody said, hey, keto man, shut the up and just talk about keto. We don't care about your other views. And I was like, well, with all due respect, no, I will not shut up. I have views on lots of things and you don't have to read everything that I write. But I'm getting to that point, you guys, where I think people have become so ugly in their expectation over labels. And T.A. Bennett said, that's rude. Welcome to my world, sweetheart. I get those kind of comments all the time and sometimes much vulgar than that. Yes, it is quite ridiculous. But so I think we need to get away from labels. I've appreciated being the low carb guy. I've appreciated being the keto guy, but I just want to be the Jimmy Moore. And at the end of the day, I want that to stand on its own. I don't need a label to do anything for me. If it helps people find me, okay, great. Here's a keto guy. Great. Here's a guy that can tell me about low carb, and I can do it till I'm blue in the face. But more than anything, I want people to connect with me because they like me and every part of me and every quality that makes me. I don't know what to tell people when they say you should only talk about keto. It's like, that's not my whole life. If I had to identify what keto is in my life, I'd say it's about 2% of my life, because the vast majority of my life is real life stuff. And keto is real life. Don't get me wrong. Don't misunderstand me. But I think sometimes we get so identified with some category of people, and people like that identification, and they like the tribalism that comes along with that. And you got people, oh, I do keto too. I do keto too. Okay, well, we're buddies. And it's great. But what more are you? What else are you? What else are you contributing in life? What else makes you interesting? That's what I'm interested in. And I think we need to get away from putting people in these boxes, telling them to stay in their lane. If one more person tells me stay in your lane and only talk about keto, I'm going to rip my eyeballs out, because I just refuse to participate in a monolithic way of eating. Brittany says that's exactly why I changed my Instagram. Yeah, she was Real Food, Real Life for a long time, and now she's becoming Brittany Lee. I'm going to keep living low carb, man, because I'm still living low carb, man. Deal with it, people. I still am into low carb diets, but I'm not only into low carb diets. Brittany says, I'm not just a box. I'm Brittany, and I have more to offer than keto. Well, I'm going to quote Britney Spears. It's Brittany, bitch. Sorry, couldn't resist. Yeah, so I'm never going to back away from what's in my heart and talking about what's there, and not allowing people to just say you can only talk about X and nothing else. If that's your life and that's making you happy, then fine, keep living your life that way. Most of us do not want to live our lives that way. Very complex. And that's the kind of friends I want. People that have many different interests. I don't have to agree with my friends either. Like, there's going to be times when you're going to have disagreement with them, and that's fine. And it's in those moments when you learn about each other a little more and a little more. And through that learning, you actually grow closer. And so I'm not about shallow relationships. I'm not about shallow living. And if people want to try to put you in a box, don't let them do it. You're more than low carb and keto if that's what you eat. That's how you eat. That's all that is. It's how you eat. Anything else beyond that is where the good stuff is in your life. All right, guys, that's it for this Pick a Rant, Any Rant. I think this went really well. Thank you for participating here today. T.A. Bennett says my Facebook page is Tips with Tanja, so I can talk about whatever, and not sorry, but it's stupid we have to think about that hard. Why do you think I created Jimmy Rants? This whole show was to say, this is my lane. Literally, this is why I created this show. I created Jimmy Rants. I could have called it Keto Rants. I could have called it Low Carb Rants. I could have called it Jimmy Crack Corn and I Don't Care Rants. No, I called it Jimmy Rants because I wanted to talk about anything. And it gives me that ability. And I really don't care if people don't want me to talk about Black Lives Matter, if they don't want me to talk about COVID-19, if they don't want me to talk about world events and life events. It's what's interesting to me. And you guys stick around because obviously you're interested in what I have to say about those things as well. And I mix in low carb, keto, fasting, cholesterol, all the rest. But it's what makes this show so much fun. So thanks so much for being here today on Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. And as always, you can engage live in the content. Go follow me right here on Instagram. I am at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, engage live. We are here Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So be sure to show up right on time We had a great 1 hour conversation here, so thank you guys for being here today. We also simulcast over here on my Facebook page as well as on my YouTube channel. Thank you all for being here today on Jimmy Rants. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay on IGTV. We'll put it up here as soon as this is over. We also put it up over on YouTube. Just type in a keyword Jimmy Rants, you will find the show. Finally, pop on over to jimmyrants.com. That's the official website for this show. You can watch all the past episodes, quickly approaching 600 episodes, you guys. So go check that out there. And while you're there, if you like what I do and you like, as T.A. Bennett says, a well-rounded show, go and support me. I love all the support of the people who have joined my Patreon. We give you lots of little perks for being a Patreon for as little as $5 a month, or you can do a donation of any amount as a PayPal one-time gift. All those links are at jimmyrants.com. So in case you haven't noticed, Instagram Live now lets you go over an hour. Used to, they would cut you off at an hour and I'd get a little countdown 2 minutes before the end of the hour. And about 2 weeks ago, I was doing Ask Me Anything. And at the very end, I looked up and it was like 64 minutes. I was like, wait, I'm over an hour. And it didn't stop. So right now we're at 62 minutes. So it's pretty cool that I don't have to like hurry up at the end. I can't tell you how many episodes I was just like, goodbye. And then because it was the very end and I was running out of time. Don't have to do that anymore. So, but thanks for hanging out for this hour, you guys. We'll be back again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. We'll see you then.